You guys are in Wisconsin, right? With your first location.
Yeah.
Are there particular markets, Michael, that you're looking to get started in? Are we trying to stay in the Midwest, or are we going to blow this thing out nationwide?
No,
What's the plan?
nationwide. I mean, really, and this is such an interesting. I mean, so we build our territories, which in franchising is like, what's the turf that you're going to operate your business in, and
Hmm.
us, ours involve target households and zip codes and those kinds of things. But really, when you have a high concentration of asphalt shingled roofs in an area, it's a good area for our business. And so that's a large number of opportunities that are out there. So our two locations, we have the founder location in the Milwaukee, greater Milwaukee area, and then Dan Lindstrom and Curtis Lindstrom up in Appleton, Wisconsin, which is closer to Green Bay area. So those are the two locations. But this is, while there'll be some seasonality in the workflow as we get Appleton's further north than Milwaukee, and like we've been trying to get started and then it snowed and you can't do that roofing in the snow kind of thing. So there is some seasonality with regards to the work, but the opportunity is not seasonal. So we're very excited to be around the country where asphalt shingled roofs are, and that's the lion's share of
Hmm.
residential roofs. The other unique thing and exciting thing about this opportunity is the commercial side of things. Dan and Matt have both been able to do some commercial projects, apartment complexes, churches, large asphalt shingled roof projects as well. So that's another side of this business, which is exciting too.
Well, I could think, thinking back to the markets too, just home services in general. There's so many Me Too brands out there that the differentiation between the brands is like eggshell thin. Whereas something here with your roofing business, this nano ceramic coating is the technology itself is a true difference maker for a franchisee to go in to meet with a client as opposed to just another asphalt roofing business. And we're trying
Yeah,
to sell them on how great, our service is. Does
yeah,
this nano ceramic coating, work just as well in the warm weather climates as it has in the
yeah.
cold weather climates as well?
Yeah, it does. It's a system. It's a really a three-step process and the product is called Ceracade. The three-step process. The first part is the inspection of the roof, and so we do that a couple different ways: drones and then visiting. But even before that, our contact center, which supports the franchisees, has that first conversation, sets an appointment with the prospective customer for the visit. It downloads roofing reporting that comes through satellite imagery to get all the measurements associated with the roof, and then creates the quotes for the franchisee to go out there and present, or their salesperson to go out there and present. But once we get out to the customers or the prospective customer's house, we do an evaluation of the roof to understand the condition of it. And if it's a candidate, we walk them through how the process. And in the case of Ceracade, there's really a three-step process. It's the roof tune-up, and that's repair and making sure all the flashing is good and it's ready to go. The next step is a soft wash, which is a chemical wash of the roof to get all the biological matter off of the roof. And
Okay.
then the final step is this application of Ceracade, and that's applied, two coats, and it's applied through a sprayer, and it's this proprietary nano ceramic coating that we do. So like that, there's a lot of preparation that goes into for both the soft wash side of things to prepare and protect all the plants and the shrubs and all that kind of stuff and make sure that things don't overspray. And the same thing's true with the Ceracade application itself. But we're not ripping off the shingles in that case and putting a dumpster in somebody's yard and having 8 or 10 guys up on the roof ripping everything
Hmm.
off and nails in the yard and all those things. So it's much less disruptive process as well. So that's kind of what we do. And if we go up and the roof's too far gone and it's not a candidate for the Ceracade coating, then we'll do a roof replacement through subcontracted labor.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was thinking. If I was a franchisee and I've got this Sarah K technology, tell me about the installers. Is there a different type of training that these installers need on just applying this, or is it simply that
Yeah,
it's a coating
it's
that
a
gets sprayed
That's a
on
great
or something?
question. Yeah, it does get sprayed on, but ultimately, I'd say that there's skilled labor portions of what we do,
Mm.
and then there's labor portions that we do, and it's all important, equally important. However, that roof tune-up and repair is generally a skilled laborer, someone who understands how to do specific roof inspection, repair, and tune-ups. And that's generally a single technician that's up there that's, being billed either by a half day or full day plus all the materials. They might have to go up and replace 3 squares of roofing in order to, get the roof prepared for the Ceracade to be, or first the soft wash and then the Ceracade to be applied. The soft wash is, I would say, not a skilled labor, but it's labor. And of course, we're always on the roof. So depending on the pitch of the roof, we've got fall protection or fall rest systems that have to be followed, safety protocols that have to be followed, all those things. But the work of applying the soft wash is not technical necessarily. There's a skill to do it, and of course, a way to do it. And then finally, the Ceracade application itself, a lot of prep work. And then the spraying of it is more of an art than it is really a technical skill. And so a lot of times we're going to be helping franchisees find painting contractors that can potentially do this work as well. We'll help the franchisees, find their subcontracted labor, and as they build up their demand and their jobs, they may well decide to bring on crews in-house as opposed to having the subcontracted workforce there as well.
Okay. What about the franchisee itself? What do you think is the kind of person that is going to really thrive in this franchise brand?
It's a great question. And, we always, with every franchise brand, you're trying to model what your ideal candidate is going to be like. And my experience in franchising is that it's not always easy to find out what you're how to replicate, because people come in all shapes and sizes and have aptitudes and skills and all those kinds of things. And that's true with franchisees as well. When we look at our business model itself, we have a sales component, Frank, which is really important, right? So our average ticket value, say that it's $10,000 to $14,000 for a residential job. That's going to require sales skills. We're sitting down at somebody's kitchen table after having done an inspection of their roof, and we've looked in the attic and we understand the conditions. And then we're sitting down and we're presenting opportunities for the prospective customer. That is selling, and that is a process, of course, that we teach. But people that are afraid of selling or afraid of hiring a quality salesperson to do that, of course, of which we'll train, probably wouldn't make a great candidate. The workflow itself, I kind of described it, the ability to manage both labor forces and subcontracted labor forces, that's important. Those are people skills and relationship-oriented skills. These are higher dollar transactions that don't have a ton of components to them. You've got materials and you've got labor, which is really going to generate your gross profit or gross margin. So from a business acumen standpoint, I always say this is true in every brand, like understanding how you make money. And in a home service business, you make money by generating gross profit. And that's managing your cost of goods sold, managing your labor costs. Your costs that are below the line, your marketing and your insurance and your office staff and your vehicles and those kinds of things are pretty predictable, but right up here at that top line area, I call it managing above the line. People that understand those levers, that's an important side of things. So relationship skills, some financial acumen, sales skills, and then we teach a lot of the other stuff. So I think those are what we're looking for. Every franchisee in a home service business, ideally you'd want them to be a community-oriented person.
Right.
And what do I mean by that? You're not afraid to be the business owner in your community. So much of what we will end up doing, we'll get a lot of referrals. And if you get a referral for a $10,000 to $14,000 job and your lead cost in that case is zero, wow, that's pretty amazing. Well, how do you do that? You're gregarious and you're social and you go to B&I meetings and you're involved in the Chamber of Commerce and you're not afraid to represent yourself as a business owner. That's the last one that I would say. Not everybody's going to be that, but those would be the ideal factors for our characteristics of future franchisees for Roofside.
Thank you for tuning into the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. For additional insights, guest applications, and to stay connected, visit us at efbpodcast.com. The Emerging Franchise Brands podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and the views expressed do not necessarily represent those of Emerging Franchise Brands, its host Frank Fumey, or Emerging Franchise Group LLC. Any discussed franchise or investment opportunity requires thorough investigation, obtaining proper disclosure documents, and expert consultation before making any investment decisions. The podcast and its host do not offer professional advice or endorsements, and they hold no responsibility for actions, representations, accuracy, or consequential damages related to the podcast content.